Hey folks, it's Sam once again, and welcome back to another review, and it is of Poltergeist 3. Now, by the time I'm doing this review, I have seen the remake. I like this film more than the remake. I think the remake is the worst one, which I'll get into that, but this one, I can't say I liked it. It has way too many goddamn problems. I will say there's some interesting ideas. It took some little chances. It failed, but it kind of tried. The remake didn't even try. The remake is a lazy fuck. Is a lazy fuck sitting on a couch eating Cheetos type of a flick. The Poltergeist remake. Here, the big problem with this movie is the story, the script, and the ending. There's other problems I have with the film, but those are just three major problems: the story, the script, the ending. Which I know that the Heather O'Rourke, who was Carol Ann in the three Poltergeist films, she passed away a few months before the film came out. And they had shot an ending, and even though the director, Gary Sherman, says, "Oh, we never shot that ending," there's like 5 or 6 people who say otherwise, that yes, that original ending was shot. And people who disagree with the director is like a producer and an actor. I think the guy who played the boyfriend in this, and the composer, and a guy who does the voice of Kane in this movie. They all disagree with the director and say, yeah, an ending was shot. And I don't know why. From what I understand, the original ending was dealing with this necklace, which is in the film, and Kane, his face crumbles and explodes in light, and before that, all the Nancy Allen's trying to find her family, and everyone is frozen, and they're in this pose, frozen. I don't know if they're like, oh my God, there's Carol Ann, there's Heather Ward frozen, and that would be too disturbing. I'm like, no, the fact that I'll get to that. The last scene we see is her head turned like this, and her entire face covered the whole time. And since we know what happened, it kind of leaves a very awkward, shitty way to feel when you watch the movie as the movie ends. And yeah, there are stuff I like about the film. I know I'm going over the place, but I like Tom Skerritt. I like the whole idea with the reflection and the mirrors. I like the fact that pretty much all the effects were done in camera, live. There wasn't really any effects that they had to put in later, except maybe some little lightning effects at the very, very last end. But the in-camera effects, which I don't think were that bad. The only effects I didn't care for was the makeup on Kane, because of course it's not the same actor, because that actor passed away, was dying when Part 2 came out. I know I'm going over the place, and people are like, well, what the fuck's the movie about? You're going into it without it. Okay, Poltergeist 2 was a decent enough hit, but not as big as the first one, so we're going to make a third one, MGM, about 2 years after the second film. Because this came out in 1988, I believe. But it's going to be a lower budget. I don't know, what was it, maybe 10 million at most? Lower budget. And we're not going to get Creighton Nelson and JoBeth Williams back, so if we can't get them back, but we can get Heather O'Rourke back, so the whole story is that the parents have sent Carol Ann to Chicago to JoBeth Williams' sister, the aunt, played by Nancy Allen, for her to stay with them for a little while, for her to go to this special school for geniuses and very smart or very gifted children. And there's even a bit of dialogue where Carol Ann says that she's going to go back in August or before August, so she's only going to be there for a little short amount of time. I'm like, okay, well, you can't get the parents back. Okay, well, honestly, you didn't need a third film, but okay, if you don't make the third film, the way the movie seemed like it wasn't the parents abandoning Carol Ann. It was, okay, we're going to send them off to go to school in Chicago and live with your aunt for a little while. Then she'll come back. And I like the fact that it takes place in a skyscraper. Okay, different little location than the previous Poltergeist films. Always wanted to see a great ghost story at a skyscraper, and still haven't gotten it yet. Because there's a really shitty one with Michael Moriarty, which I forgot what the fuck it was called. It was that bad. Dark Tower, I think. With all these ghost stories, why can't we have a good ghost story in a skyscraper? Why can't they do that? They still haven't cracked it yet, I guess. And before I get more into the plot, some good and some bad. Might as well start with the good, because it's not... I like Tom Skerritt. He's the uncle. I thought people say he did a bad job. I thought he was the character I was rooting for the most, as well as Heather O'Rourke's Carol Ann. Because Tom Skerritt, people thought he was over the top. I thought he was just a nice uncle. He was smiling. You could feel that he loved Carol Ann, loved his family, and he also hated this Dr. Seaton, which I'll get to. I was making fun of him, calling him stuff like, what was it, that pompous, God, there was a certain line of dialogue. If that old nerd was my doctor, I would have broken a mirror too, says to Carol Ann in the scene. And, like, don't let that pompous ass shrink tell you. I like that. I didn't like him. Tom Skerritt didn't like him. So that's something I could relate to as well. And treating Carol Ann as if it was his daughter. I mean, he was very kind, joking around, having fun. And he was the one that was believing the stuff later on, unlike Nancy Allen, which I'll get to. But I was rooting for Tom Skerritt. And to be honest, as I'm watching the film, I'm going, why can't we have Tom Skerritt just be the lead and not have the Nancy Allen character? Just have him be a single, he could be the brother or of Joe Beth Williams, or the brother of, I mean, you don't even need Nancy Allen. You don't need her character, which I'll get to when I talk about stuff I didn't like. But just Tom Skerritt, I liked him. I was rooting for him. Had some nice lines. You fucking son of a bitch. Which I think is the first time there's an F word in a Poltergeist film. But I just really rooted for Tom Skerritt. I enjoyed like I said, the ideas with the reflections. It plays a lot with mirrors. Reflections and that sort of gag where you have a reflection, you have a person here and the reflection starts moving on their own. They do that gag a lot. And I find that very interesting. It's a way to do effects in camera, live, and I thought it was a lot of nice, cool stuff. For example, if Nancy Allen is looking at this little statue thing, then you see its reflection and its head turns while this is still in motion, and it turns its head to look at Nancy Allen. It's just a reflection. Or there'll be a group here, and they'll look at the reflection, but then they see a reflection of Carol Ann, and she's not here. They do a lot of that stuff. I thought that was pretty cool. It's like, I wonder how they did that. Or a scene where Carol Ann is touching the mirror and the hands grab her and she gets dragged up. And a lot of the stuff I liked. There's another scene where Carol Ann, she's running in the garage and gets in this little pool, and she's standing, and then hands come out and drag her down, and there's a pool of light. I think it was done with no cuts, no edits. I'm like, wow, how'd they do that? That looks pretty cool. Or Tom Skerritt is at a swimming pool and turns, and all of a sudden the swimming pool is filled with ice, and a person gets pretty much thrown out, and it's this person who they thought was missing, and you think that's the person, but then you find out it's actual, later on, it's an evil reflection. So I like the idea of evil reflection of people and all the stuff with the mirrors and the effects. I know some people say it looks cheap. I thought it looked good for, in-camera effects. Even the ice, I know people say that the ice looks fake, but I don't know, it looks fine to me. I mean, I live in Iowa, so I know what ice looks like, and the frost is like the frost I would see in a freezer. I mean, it didn't look that bad to me. And I thought it was pretty decent. So I didn't mind the effects and the ideas with the mirrors and reflections and things of that nature. So I like those ideas. Heather Ward, I thought, did a good job as Carol Ann. It's sad that a few months before the film came out, she passed away. Something to do with her stomach, her intestines, something like that. And you tell that she's a little bit puffy, but you think, okay, maybe she's just, people go up and down. I do, you do, a lot of people do, but you tell she's a little bit puffy, and I guess that's sort of an early sign of what was going on with her, and which sucks. She passes away, but she did a good job. See, I like that it took place in a skyscraper, made it for a different setting. I like the little stuff with just the mirror cracks and finding little icicles in this place. Oh, it's taking all the heat out. It's taking all the warm air out and making everything cold. And so there's certain ideas I like throughout it with the mirrors and reflections and things of that nature. And I like Tom Stewart. I like Heather O'Rourke. But there's a lot of problems with this film too. The other characters, Nancy Allen as the aunt, the first half of the film, she's just there, and the second half, she's a bitch. At a point saying that, oh, we gotta believe Dr. Seaton, and I'll get to him in a minute. Oh yeah, he's right. This is all mass hypnosis. It's Carol Ann's fault, and it's her fault. Like, just being a real bitch. I'm like, the guy who's not even blood related, Tom Stewart, is loving her more than you. And it's supposed to be this, oh, he blames her, I mean, she blames her, but then at the end she said, oh, I really do love her, but we don't buy it, we don't buy the arc, and I don't blame Nancy Allen, I blame the script. I think Nancy Allen's doing the best she can, but the script was piss poor for her role. It was a piss poor writing for her role. You don't buy her character arc, you don't buy her, oh, I love Carol Ann, when she's been bitchy about her for past 10-15 minutes. You don't buy her that arc at all. I know I repeat that like 10 times. Well, speaking of which, I should get to another thing. It's a joke, but if you look on YouTube, there's actually a counter for how many times Carol Ann, the name pops up. I think it was 121 times that the name Carol Ann. Actually, on Siskel and Ebert on Poltergeist III, they actually complain about the fact they're always saying Carol Ann, and even the audience was getting mad. And yeah, it's a really incessant amount where people just, Carol Ann? Carol Ann? Carol Ann? Carol Ann! Carol Ann! Carol Ann! And I'm like, wow, no fooling. This is way overboard with this shit. 121 times to say one fucking name through an entire fucking movie? Are you serious? Laura Flynn Boyle, she's there. I think it was her first big role. She wanted to be a villain in Men in Black 2 and other films, but I think this was her first big role. She's as the teenager daughter of Tom Stewart and Nancy Allen. She's there, and her boyfriend is there. This character named Dr. Seaton, played by Richard Fire, as my friend Mike OCP calls Richard Firecrotch. He is a pain in the neck and a pain in the ass, as Dr. Seaton, or Dr. Seaton, as in sit on my dick and go fuck yourself, Dr. Seaton. Sit on a fucking dick of every fucking person in the crew, so you can loosen up, Dr. Seaton. Richard Firecrotch, firecracker, up your ass, so you light it out of the fucking movie. Just cast yourself right out of the fucking movie. Firecracker up your ass. When you get to the end, you're gonna blow up. Fucking Stanner style. Just such an annoying, aggravating character. And I know he's supposed to be the dick of the movie, but he's such a terrible actor. And I guess he's an acting coach, but I don't know how. He did such a horrible job, and the writing for the character didn't help either. Because his whole character is that while Carol Ann is in this school for gifted, and he's her doctor, and he's talking about how, oh, these ghosts don't exist. It's all mass hypnosis. Oh, the child is impossible. And I'm like, there's a scene where he sees a hand come out of his desk in a reflection and throw mud into a mirror, and then there's people behind the mirror saying, what happened? You see, mass hypnosis. She made me think that Cup flew to the mirror, and she made you think that you would inadvertently hit the mirror. I'm fumbling and mumbling, and I just couldn't believe what I was hearing. I'm like, this doctor is insane. This doctor is fucking with them, is he? No, he's not. He's serious. He's as serious as a heart attack. And my God, this guy's so dumb. If you talk to him, you would have a heart attack from his stupidity. You'd be like, man, my IQs are dwindling. They're committing suicide because they're unfortunately conversing with your sorry ass. Dr. Seaton. Sit on my dick. And go fuck yourself. God, horrible, horrible actor and character, man. And he dies in such an unsatisfying way. Just gets pushed down an elevator shaft, and then you find that he's dead. Unsatisfying. Sure got his fucking eyeballs blown up, or some glass thrown up his ass or something. I don't know. Just the story is piss poor as well. The story where, oh, Kane comes back because the doctor is making Carol Ann talk about, and she talks about Kane. So just from talking about Kane, even though in the second film, the whole thing was, oh, the family got together, and Creighton Nielsen threw that lance and got rid of Kane and sent him off. And now he's bad just because she talks about him for a little bit. That's some weak sauce horse shit. I'm like, why does it have to be Kane? The actor passed away. So you have another actor and some shitty makeup. That's the effects that I could say is piss poor. The makeup on him is pretty shitty. Why do we need Kane? I mean, why don't you have it be, I don't know, if the skyscraper, I think they said that the skyscraper was new. How would it be that, granted it'd be coincidental, when it was being built, someone was killed and put in the foundation of the building. And was killed in a horrible manner. And they see that, oh, this Carol Ann feels something with her. Or it was a bunch of people killed and put in the foundation, in the cement or whatever, while the building's been built. No one realizes it. Yeah, it'd be coincidental. But I'd rather have that than this bullshit. And you could be like instead of having Laura Flynn Boyle at a party fucking with kids, other teenagers, and hey, let's fuck with the security cameras, and hey, let's fuck around in the pool. You could have had a little mystery of, what's going on, huh? Maybe do a little mystery a la The Changeling or something about what happened. Maybe it's one of the people who still works at the building, who knows what's going on, or who is part of it, or like, why does it have to be Kane again? But, and the script seems like it lags. It's weird watching again how early Carol Ann disappears in the film. Like, she's become sort of a major character by this point. She's one of the only two returning characters, this and Tangina, and she seems like she disappears very early on, and then anytime you see her, you just see the evil reflection. Like, really, when she disappears, you never truthfully see Carol Ann again. You see her evil reflection, and even at the end is not technically it's her, but you don't see her face. So the last time you see the actual face of the real Carol Ann, it's her being dragged into a fucking pool of white light. Which I'll get to. I mean, it says, sets up skyscraper in Chicago. And Tom Sterrett is getting ready for work. Again, he's all smiles. He seems like a good guy, good uncle, just cool guy. Little stuff starts happening, like a big crack in the mirror. And like I said, weird stuff happens, like a figure, little statue, its reflection, head of moves, looks at Nancy Allen. Like I said, weird stuff like ice in certain rooms they find. You have the asshole Dr. Seaton. Yeah, that cup thing. And that's why I like Tom Sterrett, where he says, he's very sweet to Carol Ann. He says, if that old nerd was my doctor, I would have done it too. I would have broken the mirror too. And she's like, I didn't break it. But I like the fact that he's making fun of the asshole Richard Firecracking Mama Lackin, bitch ass motherfucker, Dr. Seaton, my dick. I like that he's making fun of him. And again, a line he says later, Tom Sterrett, like, don't let that pompous ass shrink tell you she's Terry or Houdini or something, while he's talking to Nancy Allen. But yeah, I like that he calls. I like just he keeps calling the doctor names, which again makes me root for Tom Sterrett. That's what I mean. I like Tom Sterrett, and I like the play on reflection. For example, Tom Sterrett's in a mirror and he leaves, but then Nancy Allen looks at a reflection, and Tom Sterrett's reflection stays there even after he leaves, and then the reflection leaves. Like, his little plays on that was nice little tricks which I enjoyed. The mirror trick grabbing Carol Ann, lifting her up. I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool. How'd they do that? And by this time, Tangina feels something, and I don't know where the fuck she was, but she must have taken the fastest plane trip ever, because she feels something. She gets on a plane, she gets to Chicago, and I swear, what, in timeline, what, an hour maybe? Maybe? I mean, she must have been either living very close or the quickest plane trip ever for Tangina, because she gets there pretty damn quick. But before this, she's, telling psychically, Carol Ann, break the mirror, and Carol Ann does and escapes. And then, Laura Flynn Boyle, her character was really nothing to me. Her boyfriend, sneak off to a swimming pool, whatever. And like I said, you get the scene where Carol Ann gets pulled in the garage, which I thought was a pretty cool scene, which they rip off in the remake. Only it's done better here than it is in the remake. Weirdly enough, the remake ripped off the scene from Poltergeist 3, and it was done better here. It looked better here. And her, the boyfriend of Laura Flynn Boyle, get pulled in. And one thing about the boyfriend, his little sister, who has these braces, was annoying as fuck, too. God, can the ghost take her and have her fucking fly through a window or something? But no. See, you should have done that. Would have been cool. That's another problem with the screenplay. There you go. Should have had that. You didn't do it, Gary Sherman. You fucked up with that, too. But again, there's certain effects that I like. Nancy Allen, Tom Sterrett, seeing this door that's expanding, and as it expands, little pieces of the door have holes in it. I thought that was a really cool effect, and they think there's Carol Ann and Tangina is there. Like I said, it's the fastest plane trip ever. And she's like, no, that's not Carol Ann. And again, some pretty decent effects work, I thought. And like I said, around this time, Tom Sterrett is looking at the pool, and then he turns, and all of a sudden there's ice, and the boyfriend gets spit out. Or you think it's the boyfriend. And I like Tom Sterrett when they find out it's not Carol Ann, and it goes, damn you, and leaves. What's behind that door? And Tom Skerritt goes, well, some goddamn thing is. And the fucking stupid doctor's there, and I like Tom Skerritt's, well, it depends who you want to believe. Tweedledum or Tweedledummer. It is still making fun of the doctor, I like that. But Tangina has his necklace, which you find out is actually from Taylor, from the second film. And he has some nice tricks with the mirror. And this one I didn't really get. That I guess this ghost somehow had the power to kill Tangina like that. Because they're looking at a reflection of Carol Ann, and then Tom Skerritt leans in, and she's like, no. And then the spirit comes up to touch Tangina, and she turns to a corpse. I'm like, wow, if it can do that, why didn't it just kill everybody now? I mean, just wants to fuck with games, I guess? I'm like, wow, I mean, you see Tangina later pretty much as a spirit, I guess, but I'm like, really? That's kind of like, oh, whoa, that's kind of aggravating as a fan of the previous two films. Like, that's how Tangina gets taken out? That's pretty aggravating. Pretty aggravating as fuck. And then her body is, the corpse is on it, and Laura Flynn Boyle comes out of the corpse, but it's not really Laura Flynn Boyle, as you find out. Her and the boyfriend are really reflections. The evil reflections. Again, I like some of these ideas, but it should be in a better movie with a much better script. And I think Gary Sherman was the wrong director. I mean, I think he did Dead and Buried, and I was never even a fan of Dead and Buried either. I'm not a fan of that movie, so I can't remember what other films he's done, Gary Sherman. I'm sure I could just look it up, but I just don't care to. Or I should say, more like his piss-poor script. And it said Nancy Allen becomes very bitchy. Never should have let him send her to us. And that's where then the doctor gets pushed down the elevator by the reflection of Laura Flynn Boyle, and then the reflection of the boyfriend arrives, and they walk away. And you have Tom Skerritt and Nancy Allen running around. Then you put in they're in a freezer, and the animals kind of wiggle in the freezer. And I like this effect where the water is not rising from the ground, but is rising from the wall, and it's actually getting closer. And I like that effect. I like this that the typical water rising, they don't drown. It's water coming from the wall and getting closer to them, to the door. I like that idea. And I thought the effect was pretty decent. And Tangina comes out of the water and gives Tom Skerritt the necklace, and then they're in the garage. I know Mike didn't like this scene, but I like the scene in the garage. I like the way it looked with all the frost and all the ice, and the cars are trying to run over Tom Skerritt, and he gets a lighter and burns it and blows everything up. And then in this instance, there's no ice. It's just the garage with sprinklers, and I like the ideas, and I like the scene. Just wish it was. See, I could see a better movie in this. Get rid of Dr. Seaton, my dick. Get rid of fucking Nancy Allen's character. Don't kill off Tangina. Just have Tom Skerritt with Tangina. Or Tangina run around Tom Skerritt. And get to the ending, have a better ending. And don't let it be Kane. Let it be some other figure that maybe was buried in the foundation of the skyscraper. Or some other thing. I don't know. And they think everything's alright, and it's not. They use a window washing rig. I like this, it's Tom Skerritt smashing the window and says, you fucking son of a bitch, and breaks it, but he just pulled in, and you get this really lame ending. Where non-Carol Ann says, oh, you don't love me, just give me the necklace, and I'll let your family go. And then she's like, I do love Carol Ann. I'm like, we don't buy this as an audience. Because of the piss poor writing. We don't buy your art that, oh, now you care for Carol Ann. We don't buy it. She gets in. She gets attacked for like 5 seconds by reflection. She cuts a head off, which it looks fake and phony as fuck. And then Tangita comes and goes, I'll lead, really over the top line, I have the knowledge and the power. And I'm like, wait a minute, I thought Kane didn't even want to go to the light. I thought his whole point was that he would fuck with his followers about the light, but never go into the light because he still wants them to be his followers. That he doesn't care about the light. That he just wants to be here. That he... When was it that he wanted to go in the light? That doesn't make any sense. That's what I mean about the piss poor screenplay, and that's because this is a reshot ending. But it's... I bet the original ending would have been better, but still not good. Because even the original ending sounds better. Because pretty much after that, Tom Skerritt, the body double of Heather O'Rourke, and Laura Flynn Boyle, I guess the boyfriend is fucked. Because in the original ending, the boyfriend was there. But I think something about he couldn't shoot it because he was, I don't know, maybe they didn't ask him or he was busy doing something. So, I guess the boyfriend is fucked. I guess the boyfriend's in limbo somewhere. Great continuity, huh? And it's never mentioned about the boyfriend. And there's like 50 other things. And then you just have a body double, so you never see Carol Ann's face. Which the last time we saw the real Carol Ann was when she was being dragged into a pool of light. And I'm like, this ending is even worse. And this one ending is a fucking load of horse shit. And then it cuts to a shot outside with lightning and laughter from Kane. And I'm like, are you trying to sequel bait it again? Really? This movie's just, it's a very piss poor movie. It's a piss poor film. Granted, it's a rant that's not me yelling and screaming, but it's a rant nonetheless. Because while I do like Tom Skerritt, I like some of the ideas of the reflections, the effects. I like Heather O'Rourke. I like the idea it takes place at Skyscraper. It has a lot of problems with the script. It has a lot of problems with the characters. Nancy Allen just don't give a fuck about. And later on, she's just bitchy and aggravating and unlikable. Dr. Seaton, a fucking spiked dildo, is annoying as hell, is annoying as a fucking pissing in the wind. Laura Flynn Boyle, not much to her character. The pacing of the film, it kind of lags. It's a bit boring at times when it's not, when the effects isn't there. The ending is really a groaner. It's really that's why I couldn't really get that mad at the ending of Poltergeist 2, because I'm like, have you seen the ending of Poltergeist 3? This ending is just a really unsatisfying and kind of insulting ending for fans when you don't even get to see the last bit of footage of the real Carol Ann Heather O'Rourke. Because that footage has never seen the light of day. At least put on a DVD for deleted scenes. Put it on fucking YouTube. I don't care. Let us actually see the last bits of footage that Heather O'Rourke shot. Or last bit of footage that any of us would see of Heather O'Rourke. You stupid motherfuckers. See, I got so angry I even stuttered motherfuckers or motherfuckers. That's what I got so angry about. Fucking stupid. Stupid! But yeah, Poltergeist 3 is pretty bad. At least it tried with stuff unlike the remake, which is a lazy pile of shit. But this film still failed. And that's why I like Poltergeist 2. This one, though, I don't like it. There's stuff I like about it. There's a better movie that I see within it. Needed a different director, writer. Gary Sherman, I'm sorry, you failed. You fucked up. I give him most of the blame. Because he wrote and directed this shit. Get rid of Kane. Get rid of Nancy Allen's character. Get rid of Dr. Seaton. Or if you don't have Nancy Allen, write her better. More in tone with a good character like JoBeth Williams' character was. Not this bitchy first half is a pile of nothing, then second half just a bitch. Or just had Tom Steyer by himself, because he was, I thought, pretty likable. Him, why can't it be an uncle wanting to find his daughter? Not his daughter. Well, his daughter, Laura Flynn Boyle, and his niece, Carol Ann. Why not? And not have a stupid ending. And have the boyfriend fucking not disappear. And not kill Tangina. And all of a sudden she's a corpse. Just because. And I guess that's a shock scene. But although that's one thing I will say. I don't remember this film having a lot of boo jump scares. A lot of scenes go, oh, wow, cool. Interesting effects, but not cheap boo scares like the remake, which is another reason why I like this more than the remake, but that's not saying much. And of course, the remake of that came out this year, Poltergeist, but I definitely think this is better than the remake of Poltergeist, but that's just because, again, I know I'm repeating myself 10 times over, but I like some of the effects and the ideas. I like Heather O'Rourke and Tom Skerritt. Oh yeah, and the score is pretty... I recorded the rant on the remake. I didn't even mention the score, because the score was that forgettable. And the score in this by Joe Renzetti is pretty awful, and I think he did the score to Child's Play. If that's the case, the score to Child's Play is really good. Especially at the end credits. I believe that's Joe Renzetti who did the end credits of Child's Play. The score here is very overbearing. It's like, hey, there's a stair coming! There's a stair coming. It's like you might as well have a little light with numbers right here. 3, 2, like counting down this. There's a stair coming in 5 seconds. 4, 3 seconds. 2, 1. Oh, stair. That's what the score was doing. I mean, the end credit score I thought was passable, but nowhere near the level of Jerry Goldsmith from the first 2 films. And for what I read up, either they couldn't afford Jerry Goldsmith, or he had a bad experience in Poltergeist 2 and wouldn't do it. Either way, Joe Renzetti did a shitty job on the score. Pretty piss poor. So, this film just has a lot of problems. And I never found any of the Poltergeist films scary, so it's not like that. But, again, there's ideas and stuff I like, but just the story and script and ending, as well as shitty characters like Nancy Allen, Dr. Citon. Sit on a fucking kitchen knife. Yeah, anyway, I'm just repeating myself. Either way, thanks for watching, take care, and we will see you later for the remake of Poltergeist. Later.